Hey guys, it's Alexandra from iloveknots.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beanie made with half double crochet stitches. I'm using Swish from We Crochet. This is a worsted weight number 4 yarn. This beautiful gray color is called Dove Heather. I really like this yarn. It is a 100% merino wool. It is soft. When you put it on, it just feels like it's hugging you. It is durable. It machine washes well. A yarn that is very similar to this is Lion brand Wool Ease. If you can't do wool, Red Heart Soft is a good alternative. Lion brand Heartland or We Crochet's Brava yarn. I'm going to be using an H8 5mm crochet hook. You're going to need whatever crochet hook you need to meet gauge with. And we'll go over gauge after we do round 4. We'll stop and check our gauge to make sure that we're on point. To check your gauge, you're going to need a soft tape measure. And gauge is super important to make sure that the finished beanie is going to come out to the right size. I'm going to start with a slip knot. I have the yarn coming from the ball over my fingers here. Wrap it around my index finger 2 times. I have the working yarn here in between my middle finger and my thumb. I'm holding for tension. I'm going to take the loop that's on the left, pull it up over the other loop but not off my finger. Then take the loop that's on the left now, pull it up over the other loop and off my finger. Then I'll take my crochet hook, insert it into the loop that's on my finger. I'll pull the working yarn here in my right hand, and the short tail end, I'm just going to tug on it until it tightens to normal tension. We have a finished slip knot. I'm going to start with a chain 5. To chain, we just hold our knot with our left hand, yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through. We have 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to insert my hook right into the center of the first chain, yarn over, pull through that loop and the loop that's on my hook. That is a slip stitch join to form a ring. We have this ring right here in the center that we're going to be working into. There is a small hole on the top. That is from the chain we just worked into. That is not the hole that we are working into. It is the center, the larger center one. As we work, we're going to have our tail behind the chains and we'll crochet on top of it. Chain 1. We're going to start with 11 half double crochets into the ring. To half double crochet, we yarn over, insert our hook into the center of the ring, yarn over, pull through. There are 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Let's work one more together. Yarn over the hook, insert into the center of the ring, yarn over, pull through. 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. We have 2 half double crochets done. I'm going to work a total of 11. I've just finished my last half double crochet. I want to slip stitch join to the first half double crochet of the round, which is right here. But if you're not sure where exactly to join to, you can count backwards. Each one of these V's on the top is a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Insert my hook right underneath into both, picking up both loops there. Yarn over, pull through that stitch and the loop that's on my hook. That is a slip stitch join. That's how we're going to finish every round for this beanie. That center hole, if we hold the fabric with our right hand and tug on the short tail end, that hole closes up and we'll completely secure it closed when we weave in our ends later. For the first half of our beanie, we're going to be increasing. Each round will have more stitches in it than the round before, and we increase so that our circle continues to get larger but also lay flat. Once we reach the diameter that we need for our hat, then we stop increasing, and the second half of the beanie is just worked in plain rounds. For round 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn at the end of every round. That's going to help our seam stay straight so it's not traveling. The other way that we're going to help our seam stay straight is I'm going to work my beginning increase differently than what you may be used to. Typically you work 2 stitches into the first stitch, 2 stitches into the next, or 2 stitches into the first stitch, 1 stitch into the next stitch, but I only work 1 stitch into the first stitch, then I work all the way around in pattern as normal, and then I work the last stitch of my first increase into the first stitch on the right side of the beginning tail, of the beginning chain. So the first stitch goes here into the first stitch, then we work all the way around, your last stitch ends up over here, and then I work the second increase from my first set of increases into that first stitch. The first one comes out to the left of the beginning chain, and the second one comes out to the right of the beginning chain, but they're all worked right in here. For round 2, we're going to work 2 stitches into that first stitch and 2 stitches into each stitch around. But I'm going to start with just 1 stitch in the first one, then I'll work 2 stitches into the next stitch, 2 stitches into the next stitch after that, and continue working all the way around. Once I get to the end, I'm going to work the second stitch from my first set of increases, and it'll complete this increase and the round. At the end of this round, we're going to have 22 half double crochets. I've just worked the last stitch of my last repeat. I need to work 1 more stitch to complete this round. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook right into the very next stitch next to where you just finished, and complete a half double crochet. That's the second half double crochet for my first set of increases. Now I will insert my hook underneath both loops from the first stitch and complete a slip stitch. Round 2 is now complete. We have 22 half double crochets. For round 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. 1 half double crochet into the first stitch, and the last stitch for that increase will be at the end. 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. Our repeat for this round is 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. We're going to continue working in that manner, 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 stitch into the next stitch, all the way around. Once we get to the end over here, we'll work 1 final stitch into the first stitch to complete our first set of increases, and we'll slip stitch join. We're going to end this round with 33 half double crochets. So I've just worked the last stitch of my last repeat. I'll work 1 more stitch into the first stitch, then slip stitch join to the first half double crochet of the round. And now round 3 is complete with 33 half double crochets. For round 4, chain 1 and turn. I'll work 1 half double crochet into the first stitch. That's my first increase, so the second half of that will be at the end. Then half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. Our repeat for this round, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. We'll continue working all the way around, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Once we finish our last repeat over here, we'll work 1 more stitch into the first stitch and slip stitch join. At the end of the round, we're going to end up with 44 half double crochets. I've just worked the last stitch of my final repeat. I'll work 1 more stitch into the first stitch. That completes the first increase. Slip stitch join to the first half double crochet. And now round 4 is complete with 44 half double crochets. For the newborn size, this is where we're stopping at. 44 half double crochets in the round. You'll want to take your tape measure and lay it on the edge of the left side across the center of the circle and take the measurement on the end of the right side. That is going to be taking gauge and measuring the diameter. The diameter is the distance directly across the center. And we want this measurement to be 3 5/8 inches across. If you are measuring less than 3 5/8 inches, then you need to switch to a larger crochet hook, rework these first 4 rounds, and then take gauge again. If you're measuring larger than 3 5/8 inches, you need to switch to a smaller crochet hook and rework these first 4 rounds. If you are not measuring 3 5/8 inches and you continue, your finished beanie is not going to fit. It will either be too small or too big. Now that we have the correct size crown, we're going to now work the body of the beanie. We are no longer increasing, so our circle is going to start taking a bowl shape, which is the correct shape that we want. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Each round is going to be worked exactly like this. Chain 1 and turn, half double crochet into the first stitch, and then half double crochet into each stitch all the way around. I've just worked the last stitch of my round, insert my hook into the first half double crochet, and slip stitch join. For this round and the remaining rounds, we are not getting larger, so our stitch count is staying the same. For this newborn size, we have 44 half double crochets. You can see the bowl shape where it's cupping around itself. This is the shape that we want. Continue working just like we did. Chain 1, turn, half double crochet into the first stitch and each stitch around, then slip stitch, join. You'll continue working this way until your beanie is the length that you want. So as you work, you won't have this circular shape anymore. You'll fold your beanie in half. You'll take your tape measure. You'll measure from the very top center of the beanie down. For a newborn size, you want 5 inches. If you're just measuring shorter than this length, we can add a round of single crochet to it, which will give us about 1/4 of an inch more. I'm going to work off camera until I get to the finished length that I want, and then I'll come back and say how many rounds I worked. Alright, I've worked 15 rows and my beanie is now measuring 5 inches. If your beanie is a little bit short from 5 inches, you can add a round of single crochet, just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. That will give you an added 1/4 of an inch. This newborn size is finished. All I need to do is fasten off my yarn and weave in the ends. I will add footage here from a different beanie that I am working on, showing how to weave in the ends. Now I'm ready to weave in my ends. This is a look at the back side of the beanie. You can see that the seam of the beanie is completely straight there. I just love seeing that. I'm going to take my scissors and just fasten off. Then I'll pull up on that loop, the last loop I worked, to break the loop. And I'll insert that into my tapestry needle. I'm just going to take my needle and insert it into the stitch that I slip stitched to so that I come out on the wrong side. And then I'm going to turn my whole beanie inside out so that my ends are weaved in on the wrong side. When we're weaving, we don't want to go horizontally. This restricts the stretch of that area that we're weaving into. So we want to weave in vertically, up and down. We'll go into a nearby stitch. I don't pick the whole stitch up when I work. This is picking up the whole stitch. I go right down into the center of the stitch, breaking it in half. Then work upwards under several stitches. And when I come out, I'm also not going to pick up the whole stitch. I'm going to come out the center of the stitch, breaking it in half. This is going to help catch my yarn so that I don't have to worry about my end coming out. And I always kind of use my fingers to pull the end so that it doesn't, if you pull too tight, then your fabric will get misshapen. So I just use my fingers each time I'm finished with a pass, and I make sure it looks exactly the way that I want it to look. I work 3 passes, so I'm going to rotate my fabric. And now I'm going to go into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half. Then I'll go down those same stitches I just worked. And when I come out, I will also break the stitch in half. And now I'll do one more pass. 3 is my lucky number. I always feel comfortable after that. So I'm just going into a nearby stitch, going back through those stitches I worked, and coming out the center of another stitch. And now I'm happy with this. If your end does not feel secure enough, work another pass. Fasten off. And we'll go to the top now. I've just stuck my hand in on the bottom of the beanie, and I'm working, pulling it into my hand so that I have total control of the fabric. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work clockwise around the center ring until we're back to the beginning. And now where I'm coming out of is the beginning, but I want to go under just a couple more stitches. There's a couple stitches past that. And now I'm going to hold the fabric with my left hand and pull on that tail end so that I can close up that center ring. Then I'll hold the tail tension with my left hand, and I'm going to go backwards now underneath several of those stitches I just worked to secure it in place. I do it the same way. I break the stitch in half. Then I'll work under several stitches here, breaking the other stitch in half when I come out. And just give it a tug just to secure that center ring. Then we'll work another pass in the same direction we just came in. So I'm going into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half, working under several of these stitches, coming out another stitch where I break it in half. And now that's 3 passes. So if you feel secure about your center ring, then you can go ahead and fasten off your yarn. If you feel like it's a little bit loose and it might come out, work another pass. For peace of mind, I'm just going to work another pass. And now I'll fasten off. And I'll turn my beanie back to the right side. Guys, thanks so much for watching my video, making this adorable little newborn hat. Written pattern is going to be at iloveknots.com. Please smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.